How's it going, everybody? Motorman here. Just making this video about should you become an auto mechanic. This is for people who are thinking about becoming mechanics, or maybe you're in high school and you don't know what to do, and you think it might look cool, or maybe you're older and it's just something you always wanted to try. Yeah, totally do it. Being a mechanic's great. I love it. And the reasons I like it is because ever since I was little, I just liked knowing how things worked, and I would take things apart and try to figure out how they worked. And you know, you look cool when you know how things work and you can fix things for your friends. And my favorite thing was always, when I was growing up, I would find like junky, broken down cars and dirt bikes and toys and stuff, and fix them up and make them work. And my friends were spending thousands of dollars on dirt bikes and cars, and I could spend a couple $100 and make something work and have a dirt bike, you know. So there's all kinds of different reasons to want to be a mechanic, but if you're just doing it because you need a job, the pay is rough for a long time while you're learning how to be a mechanic. So if you're down for that and you're doing it because you love it and you can stick with it, then you'll probably actually do it and be fine. But if you're trying to make fast money, look somewhere else, because it's going to be rough for a long time. I started when I was I've been working on stuff as long as I can remember, because I grew up and just would take stuff apart. There were tools in the garage when I was growing up. My older brother worked on cars and had race cars and motorcycles and things like that. So as long as I could remember, I was taking stuff apart and trying to fix it. And I got hired when I was 15, working as a mechanics helper for an excavation company. So I did oil changes and learned how to do the maintenance on, we had 10 18-wheeler tractor trailers, 2 6-wheelers, 2 Bobcats, one with tracks, one with tires, a backhoe, and a bulldozer. And every day when everything came back from, out working and delivering gravel and stuff, I would thump all the tires with a hammer and put 100 PSI in all of them, and oil changes once a month, and I would grease all the trucks and all the Zerk fittings on everything on the whole fleet once a week, and I kept track of everything. That was my job. And then there was only one fleet mechanic for the whole company, so he was constantly fixing busted stuff, and so I'd come and hold something for him or whatever, but I was 15, and it gave me a foundation of just like using tools and heavy equipment and shop equipment and fleet maintenance and things. So I was able to leverage that and go get hired at like a Jiffy Lube. And then, so I basically worked in like a different shop for like 10 years straight, just because I liked traveling and moving around and going to different places. So, but so there's all kinds of different ways to do it. But when I was out working in shops, I would see sometimes kids would be like fresh out of college and they've never really worked on anything before, and they thought they knew stuff and they didn't. And those guys struggled a lot, and they made their own lives difficult because they had attitudes and egos. So don't have an attitude, don't have an ego. Pay attention to the old cats who just work really hard, and they've been doing it for 30 years. And whenever I found somebody smart, I would just try to learn everything I could. I would watch everything they did. And you got to buy tools. You got to buy lots and lots and lots and lots of tools, like tons and tons of tools. I've been collecting tools for my whole life. And the way you do that, because there's so many tools and you don't need all of them, is if I borrowed something once, unless it's like really obvious, like a screwdriver, I wouldn't buy it. But if I had to go borrow it again from somebody, then I would go buy it, because if you need it twice, you're going to need it a third time, So I'm talking air tools, hand tools, specialty tools, and all that kind of stuff. So, but to go from nothing and get a job as a mechanic, you'll probably get paid like $10 an hour, depending on where you live, maybe up to like 12 or 13 if it's like a really busy shop. And you're going to do oil changes and you're going to clean the shop. And So my advice to somebody who's starting out is to always be working a little bit outside of your comfort zone, and just have people who can double check your work and be honest and don't lie if you screw something up, because you'd be amazed just how bad some mechanics are and how bad they screw up. And so anyway, so the different options, the ways to learn, I would recommend start working on your car, watch YouTube videos, read books. You can go and get the college curriculum. Like, instead of paying $3,000 for a 6-month college class, just buy the book. Get a $150 book and read it. Wow, weird, you know? Do you really need somebody to read it to you and explain it to you? You know, and that's the thing too, is when you go and you work in a shop, if you go and work for a dealer, you're only going to work on like just that make and model. You know, you might work on something different every once in a while. But I feel like I have a huge advantage because I always worked in independent shops, and I worked in dealers too at different times. But what I saw is the most common cars from every make and model. That I worked in shops that we would fix anything that rolled in off the street. So using the aftermarket data programs, sometimes you don't have access to the data on mostly European cars. So sometimes things had to go to dealers, but I mean, brakes are brakes, belts are belts, shocks are shocks. I mean, if you go work in an independent shop, you're going to see a little bit of everything, and I think that gives you an advantage, especially when you start working on motors. The advantages of a dealer, though, is typically you're going to work in a place that's the best equipped to work on the car that you're working on, so they're going to have all the specialty tools for whatever you need. And you're going to be working with guys that have been working on the same exact cars for 40 years, and they're going to know every trick inside and out on how to fix those cars. But still, I still think the best independent guys are exponentially better than the best dealer guys. That's just my opinion. So you could go to school, you could go through programs through a dealership, or you could do what I did and learn on the street. Go out, get a job, put yourself out there, and figure out what to study. And the way you do that is by getting your ass kicked. So go out and get stumped on cars and get paid commission, so you're not going to get paid unless you figure out how to fix it. So you can leverage your survival instincts to force yourself to study and learn how to fix cars. And then it helps if you're with somebody who's really, really, really smart. And if you have a good attitude, people will teach you stuff. If you're arrogant and think you know everything, you're going to get ran out of the shop because nobody's going to help you when you fail. And if you're afraid to fail, then you're just never going to do anything good in life anyway. So just give up now and, go work at McDonald's. Sorry. So we live in a day and age where information is accessible, and I try to find the smartest people I can find and see if they've written books. I buy the books and I read them, and so nowadays everything is controlled by electronics. Wikipedia is amazing. I read about every engine I work on, and I've been doing this for years now. On Wikipedia, you can read about the evolution of technology through the internet. So, I own my own shop. It's Motorman LLC. I'm in Florida. And that's always kind of been my goal, is to work for myself. And I worked for other people for 10 years. And that's about how long it took me to feel confident that I could fix anything that rolls in off the street or figure out how to do it. And there's work that I won't take, but that's that's again from experience and using your judgment, which you only get by experience. So should you be a mechanic? Like I said, it's a long haul, but if you love it, then it's worth it, and you'll do it, and you'll be great at it. So the thing that kept me going was I was obsessed with knowing how things worked. And, you know, if you work 8 hours a day in a shop somewhere, 3 or 4 of those hours are going to be scouring through data software and trying to figure out how something works. Because when you work in an independent shop, I mean, every day for years, a car would roll in that I've never seen before. I'm working on an engine I've never seen before, and it's having a problem that I've never tried to solve before. So I spent most of my time scouring data software and just trying to figure out how everything worked. And then you see engineers all use the same principles. Science kind of is its own thing and doesn't change, you know. So once you figure out the principles of engineering, then you get better and better at working on stuff you've never seen before. And to me, that's really the marketable skill. That's what makes you able to do your own thing, if that's your goal. If your goal is to be the highest paid tech in a dealership, I think that's kind of an easy route, but your income is limited, you know, long term, but you don't have any of the responsibilities of being a business owner, which is cool. A lot of guys do it. It's just not for me. The different pay scales, like I said, you got to be willing to eat shit for a long time before you actually know what you're doing and can provide value to the business that you're working for and go full commission. I've worked, you know, when I started, I got paid hourly. And when you get paid hourly, people treat you like shit, and they always complain that you're not working hard enough because to them you're an expense and you're trying to learn and it's really hard. People treat you bad. Get over it, work your ass off, and get better. And then when you go commission, you get your ass kicked because while you're trying to figure out how to fix something, you're not getting paid. You only get paid when the thing gets billed out. But that's how you got to take a jump. And that's how you're going to exponentially increase your skill set. And then, you know, so there's lots of, I mean, the opportunity is everywhere. It's insane. There are places that will hire people off the street with no experience and no tools. If you go in and just be straight up and don't lie, because the truth is, every shop owner needs help. There's so much work. There's so many cars. They all need to be fixed, and most people don't know how to fix them. So if you're handy at all, you can go and get a job, you know, as an entry-level tech. So I recommend anybody who's thinking about becoming a mechanic, go and do that before you spend any money and go to school, because you might put a car on a lift and raise it up over your head and realize, I hate this because this thing could kill me and I never want to do this ever again. And that would really suck if you went to school and had like $50,000 in debt and then went and figured that out. And a lot of shop work is just rough. A lot of it is about trying to find the smartest way to do things. And sometimes there's just no smart way to do something, and you're just going to be scraping a gasket off in a tight space somewhere, you know, and it sucks. But when you figure out how to get paid for what you're worth, then it's like, I wish I could just scrape gaskets all day. It's my favorite thing to do, you know. So it is what it is. But anybody can get hired if you don't suck, if you're not an idiot, and you don't crash cars. Just don't crash other people's cars. You know, that's really important. But yeah, go to like any oil change shop. Like, I don't want to list off any corporations because I'm competing with all of them. And they actually have their own training systems that they'll put you through. A lot of them will pay you Well, they'll pay for the tests for you to get ASE certified, and they'll give you pay raises to get certified. So there's some incentives there. That's how I got my ASE certifications. And but my advice to anyone who's going to do that is, if you're like me and you want to grow and you want to learn and you want to get better, don't spend too much time in those entry-level positions. Push yourself to take the jump, go flat rate, get your ass kicked, and figure that shit out. Because that's how you're going to grow. Take a risk. But in order to do that, you do need to buy tools. And I mean, I buy tools off of eBay and pawn shops and garage sales. And like I said, I collect tools. I rarely impulsively ever buy tools unless I just really need something for a job that day. And I try to make sure that if that ever happens, that I get paid enough on the job to buy the tool. And then the next time I do that job, that tool has already paid for itself. But yeah, there's tons of opportunity over there. I love being a mechanic. I could just read technical manuals and wiring diagrams all day, every day. And I love the evolution of technology. There's a bunch of old cats that bitch and complain about it all the time, and they can't hang, and their salaries are going down because they can't hang. But I love electronics. I love technology. I also love old technology, like, you know, Chevrolet motors that are still using overhead valve engines. They're great. I love them. Harley Davidson overhead valve. They're great. I love them. But, you know, so for me, that's kind of what keeps me going, is tracking along with the evolution of technology. It's really interesting to me. It's great money. I mean, you know, when you... so you can leverage your experience and your situation to get paid. That's a skill. You need to figure out how to do that. Because if you're going to a really busy shop that has 10 applicants a day, they have all the leverage in that situation, and they'll pay you $15, $20, $25 an hour flat rate. And they're charging $90 to $125 an hour flat rate. So the shop's making bucks off of you. But if you're good enough and you have tools to where the goal is to be good enough to diagnose anything that rolls in. Because if you can do that, now you are worth money to a shop owner, because he's not worried about you blowing stuff up and misdiagnosing cars and causing him problems. So you're worth money. So you can negotiate for higher rates. And you can negotiate for higher rates in shops that do more catastrophic work, because they can bring the money in. In high volume franchise places, you're going to get paid what they're going to pay, and that's it. So, you know, a lot of guys, it's just tit for tat. If you can hustle really hard and you want to run around like crazy all day and change belts and tires and brakes and shocks, you can make good money, but they're going to pay you 15%, you know, parts and labor. But if you're an actual diagnostic technician, I mean, I've been paid as high as 50% flat rate on labor, you know. So it's whatever you put out there, whatever you set to do, that's what you can do. But you got to be willing to suck for that, you know. You got to be willing to get your ass kicked. And like I said, I mean, I worked for 10 years for other people before, and then I actually quit working in shops and tried other things for a couple years, and went back and forth in my mind for 3 years about whether or not to open up my own place. And I don't regret any of it, you know. So so before you pay for school, go get a job in an oil change shop. See if you like cars and tools and lifts and this and that and the other. if you're going to go to school to get certified on the machine that you like. Like if I was going to pay for school, I'd go to Harley Davidson school and become an engine tuner. You know, I wouldn't go there to work on Toyotas because I'm not interested in Toyotas. Not that I don't like Toyotas, but if you're going to pay, then do what you want. So, yeah, but anyway, so should you be a mechanic? I don't know if that answers your question or not, but make sure to like my videos. I'm doing how-to repair videos on this channel, and I want this to be like a forum for mechanics or aspiring mechanics. I want this to be in a mechanics community kind of a page. So if you got questions, you can send me a message or in the comments, but please subscribe to my channel, share with your friends, and if you're in the Florida Panhandle, come see me at the shop. I'm at 679 Denton Boulevard from 8 to 5 Monday through Friday, and you know, so hit me up, Motorman LLC. Thanks, y'all.